Hello everyone, welcome to another collective message. This one has been cooking for a while. I've been getting information and downloads on it since the last reading, and there have been so many things that have come through, and so many things that have happened in my personal life since I posted the last video. So I've been processing all of this, grounding it all, applying it to myself and my own life to see how it's working for me, how I'm grounding this information into my day-to-day. So yeah, the overall information that's been coming through has been messaging around the way. So the way has been referenced in many different religions, cultural beliefs, practices, but most people might be familiar with it through Taoism or through Christianity. And so we're going to talk about this idea of the way and how it shows up, how it's been showing up for me lately. I have my notes here to the side. I'm recording this on the new moon in Leo. And so there is a lot of this fiery energy present, and I know that has been present in a lot of the readings lately, especially just talking about that and feeling that energy specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Like I said, the information has been coming through. I started writing my notes on the full moon in Capricorn. And so the Spirit started to share this with me about the way. It just started to pop up in my day-to-day, and it started to seem like, okay, it's linking together. And so I knew that there was a message coming through about this. And I have researched this before for myself, just in my learning over the years, exploring different ways, different paths, different perspectives and cultures. So I had done research around this, specifically around Christianity, because I was raised in that, and my dad being a Southern Baptist preacher. And so researching that, I always have, the words of Jesus in my mind. I am a Christian. I follow Christ, and I believe that the words of Jesus, the Bible, is allegory and metaphor for the evolution of human consciousness. And a way was made for us through the truth. And we'll get into all of that. So as I started to go down the path, when I first started to learn about this or research it or follow Spirit's guidance, I learned that the way was associated with Taoism. And so I've also got my computer over here. So I'm going to just read what it says and what the concept is in Taoism. So it says Taoism, centered around the concept of the Tao, or the way, emphasizes living in harmony with the natural order and understanding the universe's underlying principles. And then it says understanding the Tao, often translated as the way, is a fundamental concept in Taoism that represents the ultimate reality and the guiding principle of the universe. It is described as both the source from which all things originate and the path to which all things return. The Tao embodies the essence of natural order and cosmic harmony, promoting a life that aligns with the rhythms of nature. Okay, so I feel like the way is the truth, and that's what Yeshua talks about in the Bible, the way, the truth, and the life. And he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am not a theologian or anything like that. I did not go to seminary, but I have learned things. I've taken different classes. And I've studied the Bible my whole life. And so he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And in my understanding, since I've woken up, Spirit has shared with me discernment of Scripture. And these are things that I knew as a child and even earlier on before I woke up. But after I woke up, or what I think the Bible describes as being infilled with the Holy Spirit, Spirit shared with me a deeper understanding of Scripture. And so in Genesis, Moses asks God what his name is when he goes up to the burning bush, and God tells him that his name is I am that I am. And so Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, the life. So God, or the universe, ultimate reality, is the way, the truth, the life. And so in many different cultures, this is recognized. So there isn't just one way. The way is within all of us. The way is reality. The way is truth. Okay, so it's shown up for all different humans across all different cultures. Oh, the hangman on the bottom of the deck. Because we are all connected to the truth at all times. Oh, I'm sorry if that was blurry this whole time. But we are all connected to the truth at all times. The hanged man is about seeing things from a different perspective. Maybe having reality flipped on its head. And I know that that's how I felt when I woke up, when I was filled with the Holy Spirit. It's like I'd been living my life a certain way, and things weren't necessarily working out the best for me. I was very depressed, very anxious, just I didn't really have a grip on myself or what was going on. I'd experiencing gifts my whole life, but because I was raised in the environment that I was raised in, I was afraid of them. I doubted them, but never really doubted Spirit. I dedicated myself to Spirit when I was a little girl because I felt Spirit, and I knew that there was something within me that was higher than myself. And I wanted to dedicate myself to its purpose because I felt and knew in my heart that it was true. So I dedicated myself to the way, to Yeshua. Yeshua means the Messiah. So a way is made for us to recognize through the Messiah, whatever this process is, through the Messiah, that a way has been made for us to realize truth and be one with God. Yeshua told us over and over again that, we are children of God, and his whole mission was about trying to teach people that they didn't need an intermediary from human beings on the planet. They're called Pharisees and Sadducees in the Bible. And they tried to control the people with unjust laws and judgments and harsh punishments, and were really hindering people's growth and connection with God because they were taking all the control and power out of it, making people believe that they had to do things a certain way, go through certain people to know God. And Yeshua came and fulfilled any sort of laws or anything from the past and made a way for us to be connected with God, to truth, without having to do those things. And whether these are realizations that everyone has, that at some point we realize that our relationship with God, the universe, the divine, is our own relationship and our own connection, our own life's work. You may hear some talking or noises in the background. Like I said, there's been a lot of changes in my life. And the studio that I had and worked so hard, my husband and I worked so hard to put together, the building was leaking, the roof was leaking, and our whole group of ladies had to leave the building because the landlord refused to fix the roof. And so we've worked the problem, and they're all in a new space, and it's wonderful. And I'm sharing space with one of them to do in-person readings. But right now I'm in this small back room of the shop that I work at, and I'm so thankful and blessed, grateful that I have a boss who owns this shop that told me that I could use this space anytime that I wanted to continue doing this work. And so I'm finding my way. I'm not giving up. There's been a lot of things come up that could have made me doubt or question, many roadblocks just within the last few months. And that's how I know kind of that I am on my way, and that I'm doing the thing that I was called to do when I was very young. And not all of us have that kind of thing. We go through life and we learn who we are, and I've learned many things about who I am, but I've realized that at the end of the day, I am here to serve spirit and to serve the truth, and to try to assist others in finding that truth within. So I'm going to go there. This quote from Carl Jung is coming up now, and I made a note of it, but it's popping into my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. And he said, "Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is like yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you." God is within all things. So the way is within all of us. And we can all choose our own way. There is no right or wrong way, but there is the ultimate truth, right? And so I can choose to go this way and that way and weave all around, but the truth is still right there waiting for me. And so we can choose to go straight to the source and straight to truth. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be things that come up, that we have to work the problem. But within ourselves, within our knowing, within our consciousness, we realize the way that is for us, and that is love. That, again, I've talked about this many times, that the best word that I feel like we as humans have for it is love. It's the highest frequency. It's the ultimate knowing. There is no separation in love. Everything is united. God is love. And we all have different words in different languages and different ways to express love. It's infinite. But there is still this ultimate thing that holds us together. I've talked before about the different metaphors that I really kind of think click it into place. It's like a diamond has so many different facets, but it's all one diamond. And the waves in the ocean, the waves come up for a time expressing in its own unique way, but it's still connected to the ocean, and it goes back down into the ocean and it comes back up again. Consciousness is infinite. God energy is infinite. And so there are infinite ways we can choose to find the way. But that doesn't always mean that it's for our highest good. It could lead us towards very difficult, traumatic, painful experiences. And not that we're not going to have those. Like I said, I'm going through things right now. We had a death in the family. So processing through a lot of these things and recognizing that there's so much change and so much shifting of energy and learning and realizing and processing all within a short amount of time. It's like the more that I choose to focus my attention and my energy on the way within, the more things happen, or I don't want to say happen, the more things come up for me to see how I'm processing it in my real life, my day-to-day, as within, so without. So I'm getting opportunities to apply what I'm learning and what Spirit's showing me in my day-to-day. But it's not easy. But I have faith, and I choose to have faith that there's something hopeful and beautiful and I just heard resounding coming from all of this. And there is, like, I'm connecting with my family and my husband and my daughter in ways that deep levels that learning and experiencing these things have brought me into. Okay, and so every day I'm choosing my own way of understanding and processing, but I know that at the end of the day, the overall big picture and the way that I'm on is the way of love. And that can show up in infinite ways. God is infinite. God works in mysterious ways. God has no boundaries. There is no beginning. There is no end. Okay? So that's just the beginning. And I started to go down this rabbit hole again because I was raised in Christianity, and I have, I've learned and studied and understand the Bible, learning about the way. I'm like, okay, I was curious. And so I was like, would Yeshua have known about Taoism and the way? Would that have made it into the culture that he was living in and raised in at the time, to where he could have been using it as a reference to talk about ultimate truth in a way that people have heard before and could relate to? Because Yeshua was all about, he never spoke in anything but parable, because spirit is the all-encompassing truth of both the unseen and the seen. So our flesh, we deal with that and contend with that every day. It's easier to deal with the 3D things, but Yeshua tried to help us understand that there's more to it, and it's not just the letter of the law, there's a spirit to the law. And understanding and interacting with the spirit and recognizing the truth of it helps us to live a balanced and aligned life. Using our experiences and learning from them all the time to grow and evolve into who we're meant to be, who we're born to be, who we naturally are the moment that we're born, the moment that we're conceived. We are who we are. The truth within us is always the truth within, and that is love. Okay? So I started to think, like, would he have been using that as a way to connect with people? And I looked it up, and I'm like, could they have known? And it was like, it wouldn't have really been a widespread thing, but there may have been a few people because of trade routes and things like that. And I was like, okay, so if Yeshua was spending a lot of time around people who are teaching about God in the temple, in the synagogue, which he did, maybe he heard people discussing this about other belief systems that were coming into the region. Okay. So again, going back to that parable, I am the way. God is the I am, the ultimate reality. So aligning with that and finding that within ourselves is what Yeshua came here to teach us. How Yeshua shows up in the Bible to teach us. Okay. So I started to go down that rabbit hole, and years ago I learned that okay, before I get off track, let me go back because I had to make more notes at the end. So Spirit started to channel with me when Yeshua said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And I understood what Israel is in the Bible. Okay, Israel is the new name that Jacob received after Jacob wrestled with the angel at Peniel. So that led me down a rabbit hole about who Jacob was. So Jacob was... Okay, so the names in the Bible, they mean something. Our names mean something, right? The words themselves mean something. And every name in the Bible is describing the character, who they are, their temperament, something about them. Yeshua's name is the Messiah, Jesus, the Messiah. And so Jacob's name means the supplanter. And I looked up, what does that word mean, supplanter? And it says one who follows another's heels. When Jacob and Esau were born, Esau came first, and Jacob was clinging to his heel as they were born. Okay? Esau's name means hairy and rough, and when he was born, he was covered in red hair. So that fire energy. Esau was a doer. Esau came to this planet to create and do and make. Okay? And Jacob was the supplanter of that. The supplanter is someone or something that replaces or takes over the place of another, often through force, scheming, or strategic means. And so later on in the story of Jacob and Esau, Jacob does take over Esau's inheritance through scheming. And he's banished to... he has to leave his home. So I'm just gonna read these notes because I wrote a lot about this. So Jacob tried to replace or supplant Esau, the doer, because deceit and cunning can't do what the doer can. They have to scheme their way into it. He was born grasping at Esau's heels and would continue that to get the birthright and blessing, that which wasn't his thing. It wasn't his thing to have. It was Esau's thing to have. It was Esau's highest good. The thing that he was grasping at wasn't for him, but he made it for him anyway. He was trying to take that what was meant for the doer of their thing. Jacob schemes his way into obtaining the birthright. And there are many parables within parables based on the names and the locations where they are and who their parents are and who their relatives are, how much time they spent there. Like, this is all deep allegory and metaphor. The Bible is one of the greatest pieces of literature ever written, but hardly anyone talks about the literature of the Bible because it's been hidden from us. The church has taken it from us, and the Pharisees and Sadducees, and this is a thing that plays out over and over and over again throughout humanity because we are not realizing the way, the truth within, that we don't have to go to these people to tell us. Spirit will tell us. Spirit will never lead us wrong. Spirit will change our lives for the better, for our highest good. And these constructs and institutions and things don't want that. For how long it's been going on, a lot of them are just caught up in the way things always have been. They've been conditioned and they believe that they're doing the right thing. Jesus said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I love everyone on a brotherly level, but recognizing that we all make our own choices, and every adult is responsible for their own self and their own choices. And going down that path is not easy because you learn that you're not perfect. And you're going to have to change, and you're going to have to look at things different, and you're going to have to move and operate in a more advanced way than you did when you were younger, when you were a child. And that's maturity. That's the natural evolution of being here in this plane, in this reality. But there's a physical and spiritual component to it. Okay? So Jacob schemes his way into obtaining the birthright, but when Esau discovers this, he defends what's rightfully his, and Jacob flees to Haran, or Padam Aram, where he works for his uncle Laban for 20 years. So 20 years symbolizes a period of significant waiting or expectation that can also signify a point of redemption or deliverance. So the name Laban, which was his uncle, means white. So a purification process. He had to go to this place to go through a purification process to learn and accept responsibility. It also defines the age of adulthood and accountability before God and within the community before he had full possession of his wives. So he had to go, 20 years was this period that they had to go through to prove, or like 20 years was like the time period that they had to, that they acknowledged that we had gone through enough learning and processing and things that they could have full possession, which again, this is from a very patriarchal society and culture, but that they had to go through this period to be worthy of the things that they needed in this life or wanted in this life, the things that they would have to be responsible for. So he went through this period and he had 2 wives, Leah and Rachel. Leah means weary and tired. Rachel means like a female sheep. Okay? Their names are allegory for their personalities. Leah was unloved but loyal to Jacob. Okay? And God blessed her with 6 sons. Okay? Again, this is a different time where having children and, you know, furthering the tribe and the community was of the utmost importance. There was not very many people. People did not live very long. And so things were different. It was a different culture, but there's deep wisdom to be found past the words on the page and past the 3D playing out of human being, mankind's choices, man's choices. Okay, so she was the matriarch of the tribes of Israel, the priestly and royal tribes. Okay, Rachel was Jacob's favorite, and like a lamb, she was, you know, everything that, again, that would have been desired in the patriarchy from a wife. Think of a little lamb, you know. She had 2 sons of the tribes of Israel. Okay. So Laban, who was his uncle, who was where he had to go for those 20 years to learn, everything get flipped on its head. He got chased away from the life that he could have had because of the choices that he made. And so his uncle tricked him into marrying Leah first, the one that he didn't love as much. Okay? So this is a mirroring of his own deceit and schemes. He was scheming on Esau, and then his uncle was scheming on him. He had to do like a mirror to learn from what he had done, to realize what he had done, to face it. Okay? This is a catalyst of his own self-reflection. His uncle grew to resent him. He had to flee again with his family. At some point in his journey of life, he was on the same road as Esau. Esau had 400 men with him. Okay, again, allegory within allegory. That 400 means something. I just don't know exactly what it is. So, so before he met him on the road, this is where Jacob wrestles with the angel at Peniel. And you can look this up. It's in the Bible. It's Peniel. And he comes to terms with himself and with reality and what is right and wrong. Right and wrong. Okay, we get that. But there is a basic moral principle of operating in life. Those universal laws within Taoism. You know, people talk about karma and, you know, everything is energy. Everything will have some sort of consequence or reaction or equal answer somewhere down the line. Our choices are important. We learn this when we're kids. Our choices have consequences. We're learning it deeper and deeper and deeper layers as we go through adulthood and life and go through different experiences. If we're choosing to learn. Some people don't choose to do that, and they're choosing that path. And I believe all paths lead to the one, because there is no separation. We're all one. But that realization might come after we're released from the physical body. Okay? A lot of people go through many things, and they don't even know that they can choose anything else. And so it's not right or wrong or bad or good or whatever. Everybody's on their way and having their experience. But I know of a way, I know of the truth through love that would be so helpful to people on their path and maybe help them make better choices. And now it's coming up in my mind when Jesus would tell people, go and sin no more. It wasn't because he was judging them or because, oh, you're being bad and you're doing bad things. It was because he knew that the things that they were doing were not furthering them towards their highest good, towards ultimate truth, towards what their thing is in life, what they're meant to be, to do, to experience. Sometimes we make it harder on ourselves. But again, sometimes we don't know. I didn't know before I woke up that I could choose to see things differently. Spirit, help me understand that in a more mature way that I could grasp in the space that I was in, and I could start applying it in my life, and my life has never been the same. And it's only been growth and understanding and healing and expansion and connection and all of these things ever since then. So he wrestled with the angel at Pineal. He come to terms with himself and with reality. Okay. He came to terms with himself, with God, reality. He woke up, and God named him Israel. Israel means one who struggles with God, or one who prevails with God. It's that I am ultimate reality, that realization of oneness, that there is no separation, there is no condemnation in spirit. We are all one. And it doesn't matter what that physically looks like, as long as it's operating within the universal principles of truth and oneness. Okay? There's free will. And if there are ideas or concepts or things that violate that free will, then it's an illusion. Okay? So he and his brother reconciled. Eventually he lived in Mamre, where his father lived. So the story of Jacob, and it's repeated over and over and over again in the Bible because it's allegory for the human experience, for growth and evolution. So it's told many different ways in many different parables. This to me is life's journey of human and flesh, going through healing, facing consequences, facing self and demons, wrestling with higher thoughts, and transforming into something new. And that is naturally growth and maturity. It's all one. It's all one reality. It's all contained within the same plane, but there's infinite facets to it. And this is why I think it's Neville Goddard talks about how Christ is the imagination. So with this being the new moon in Leo today, and finding the way within, and like Carl Jung said, you must fulfill the way that is in you. The Leo energy is all about self-empowerment and confidence, real confidence, not cockiness, not make believe, but like, I know this is who I am. I know that this is the truth. I accept that other people may not agree with me, but I'm not going to back down. That's self-esteem, knowing who you are. Okay? But knowing the truth and knowing and understand something that is subjective for so many people. And so love is the way that we acknowledge that we all know and understand how to be human, and that no one knows or understands how to do it any better than anyone else if they choose to be within that love frequency. Of course, there are people that choose not to be within that, and they do horrible things to people, and we need to have good boundaries. We don't just, give away everything to everyone. That's not what love is. But brotherly love, that ultimate love, that like agape love that is talked about in the Bible, is universal love and understanding and acknowledgement of the human condition, and that nothing that any of us go through or don't go through or whatever in the long run, in the big scheme of things, makes us any better or worse than anybody else. And respecting each other on that level and seeing each other in that way. So I have been getting the Magic of I, which is, I think, Magic of Incarnation. They call it Magic of I. It's a company that makes astrological journals and planners, and I've been working with them for many years now. And every month they have like a new moon and a full moon affirmation. And so the one for the new moon in Leo is, I love everything about myself in this very moment. And so that it's going back to that I am, and that knowing within, and knowing that when you're choosing to be in the frequency of love, which I believe most people are trying to do their best and take care of their families and take care of their loved ones. But life is complicated, and sometimes people lose their way and make bad choices. But I continue to have hope and believe that there are enough people that understand and recognize love. And when they recognize that within themselves, we all start to realize the different growth and perspective that we can have as we choose to unite in one common way. And that way that is truthfully love. Okay? And love is not manipulative. Love is not controlling. In I think it's 1 Corinthians, it says, what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not boast. Love does not envy. And these are the truths of reality of a higher understanding and connection with spirit within this 3D realm. Okay? Spirit. Wow, we've been talking a lot. I've been just 38 minutes of sharing that channeled information that's come in over these last weeks. And that was just a little bit of the notes. I've watched readings where I've talked with people in the comments and things about the way, and different ways that people are experiencing and connecting with spirit. And it's not for me to judge or say yes or no, but I do try to understand how people are connecting, and maybe the ways that they're connecting, because from my personal experience, I remember ways that I would try to understand and connect caused me a lot of pain, because I didn't have control of my own emotions and my own understanding and my own gifts and my own mental health, basically, that I deferred to other people a lot. And it caused so much anxiety and depression and feeling lost and untethered. And I've been exposed to many different belief systems by many different people in many different ways since I woke up. And I had to learn a lot of discernment. And so there are many different ways, but you have to be careful about whether or not those ways are grounded in reality. because anyone can believe anything at any moment. And yes, I believe that people will learn what they need to, no matter what, because it all leads to truth in the end. But if someone saw me poking myself with a hot iron, I hope someone would come over and tell me, you don't have to do that. And I think that that's where, you know, people get hung up, where it's like, oh, it's my duty to go and save them, or to go out on this mission and change people's minds and convert them to my religion or this religion or that, or make them believe this or that or whatever. And I think it all gets lost in translation of love, because people aren't centered and balanced within themselves. In their experience, what they've gone through is what's right. And it's not to say that people aren't learning valuable things from these different paths, because they are. Many people change their lives and change it for the better, going to these institutions and different things. But many people don't, and many people are hurt and harmed. And so a lot of things get lost in translation, literally, through different cultures and different things. But when we get back to that alignment within ourselves with love, with recognizing that within ourselves, we can start to see things in a different way and choose to operate in a way that is more beneficial towards our highest good. I hope that I'm making sense. I'm not here to judge or tell anyone what to do or anything like that. But I'll just share this. After I woke up, there was a certain woman that came into my life that literally tried to start a cult with me, because she had certain thoughts and beliefs about reality and the way that things were playing and interplaying. And, you know, she was experiencing things within herself that made her think that there were beings and things outside of this reality that are controlling things. And she told me that in order to get people to wake up or realize that this was going on, she needed to perform a miracle. And her idea of the miracle was to make a famous singer, who I will not name, but that tried to make them do something that was like extremely ritualistic and like not in like normal society, and hasn't been for a really, really, really long time. And so this was like something that she's telling herself these things are real, that she has to do this, that, you know, she's gonna save people and all this stuff. And like, while it might sound like good to her, or she might have good intentions, this all interferes with free will, because it's fear-mongering and putting power and control outside of oneself into things externally, when there is nothing external from us anyway. The darkness and things that come up in this world that we can choose to go into and focus on is our own darkness within ourselves. It's consciousness. Everything is consciousness and energy. Human beings make the choice to do things. There's nobody else. There's nothing out there controlling anyone or anything. They're making their own choices. Now, they might have deluded themselves to think that something else is in control, but they've given into lies and illusions, or Satan, the devil. It's just a metaphor and allegory for lies and illusions and delusions. They could be self-inflicted. On the devil card, it's got the two people, and they have the chains around their neck, but they could just take them off over their head. They choose to be there, right? We can choose how we look at things. So you have to be very careful about the way you choose to look at things, because in the long run, you could end up drinking the Kool-Aid, and the only person that didn't drink the Kool-Aid was the cult leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this applies to anything and everything. There's so much insidious things out there, people choosing to try to control and manipulate and do things. And so you have to be careful. You have to have discernment. Ask spirit. Always ask spirit. Spirit will never lie to you. So many things are archetypes and energies being shown to us as archetypes so that we can understand parables and allegories, stories. That's how ancient people passed on wisdom, was through stories. Because they didn't have psychology. They didn't have the things we sit around and talk about. Like, they didn't even really understand their thoughts and feelings. They thought they were some external bad entity, a demon, or, you know, if anybody had any sort of negative reaction or anything, it was that there was some outside influence controlling them, when really it's just our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own emotions, our own darkness coming up to be processed so that we can grow and heal and become closer to the truth and God. Spirit, can we get some more information about this, about the way? We have the Empress in reverse. And the Empress is all about, like, that earthly energy. The Queen of the Earth. She symbolizes fertility, new things to come. Yeah. The physical Earth Mother. So maybe ideas and things about physical reality are being challenged at this time. And we can be pulled in any way that we choose. The internet is out there full of information. I mean, I'm on here right now, right? Like, it's just out there full of information. It's up to us to discern where we put our energy and our focus. Oh, here's the Devil card coming out. We have the Two of Cups. We have the Nine of Cups. And we have that Devil card. So yeah, the Two of Cups, whenever I see, like, union and things coming together and healing, it's that union within ourselves, healing that dichotomy of this or that, of separation. And the Two of Cups cups are associated with water and our emotions, our connection with spirit, that deep spiritual space, intertwining, bringing two together, exchanging information, and then the spiral, you know, the two snakes intertwining, that spiral, that makes me think of DNA, information held within our DNA. So yeah, maybe old ways, looking at things new, old ways have been flipped on its head. We're learning that when we're in alignment with ourselves, with truth, with the way, wish fulfillment comes. Because when you're aligned and you're operating from a space of like a healthy mindset, you make things happen. You make the choices, you do the things, you're the doer, you become Esau. We progress from the 2 to the 9. So maybe there's this like heightened, I've been getting information about time and timelines too coming through lately. So maybe there's this fast pace around this information, around, yeah, like everything that I've been going through, like in my own life, is like boom, 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 boom. It's like this quick progression through the growth, through the realization that we can choose. You can choose to like, align yourself. And not that it's going to happen overnight, not that this boom, boom, boom. Like, my whole life, I was praying and working with spirit and going through my own processes and things before I woke up. It didn't just happen overnight. It seemed like it did. I didn't really know what was going on at the time. And it was like my whole life did change in that instant, but it was a lifetime of work coming up to that moment. And so maybe this has been something you've been like chewing on and like looking at and maybe even hanging yourself up on for a long time. And that makes sense, because especially if you have a background like mine, growing up in the church, and like, well, you can't go any other way, you know, like there's only one way, and you know, and if you look at the surface level of the scriptures, it makes sense. And so there's that fear, and it can hang us up for a very long time, and it can flip everything on its head when we might be, when things might start to be revealed to us that are different than what we thought. When we start to open our minds up and look at things differently, it really can, everything can just change. But have faith that you can handle it. That's what we do as adults. We make choices and then we realize, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can handle that. Like, that's what we do as kids, and we grow and we grow and we become adults, and we have more and more responsibility. Oh, I can handle that. And you can handle it. You can handle anything that's thrown at you. You just have to believe in yourself. And you can start to make choices to empower yourself to believe that. You can reprogram your mind and get rid of these lies and illusions and delusions that you're stuck here. See, like I was saying, they have this like chain. Let me see if I can. Oh, yeah. See, they have this chain, but she could just take that off over her head. And it's the same for him. So it's sometimes, it's kind of, we can choose our own way. Oh, sorry. We can choose our own way of looking at things. And it can be our highest good, our wish fulfillment, and focus our energy on that. Or we can focus on, it's lower, that's funny. We can focus on this like lower energy that may be keeping us away from what we know and feel in our hearts is for the best for ourselves. Not out of judgment of like, oh, I need to do better, I should be better, or I'm not perfect and I gotta be perfect, or anything like that, but just that will make us feel aligned and in truth and authenticity. Spirit, can we get any final cards from the tarot? No? Okay. They want me to move on to Oracle. And I was really drawn to this Oracle of the Roses. So we're going to draw, I just heard 3. We're going to get 3 of these. I just heard Spirit say, too little, too late. Don't be complacent. Don't wait. That might be for someone specific. Like, you might be this thing that you've been hung up on for a while. Spirit might be trying to help you understand that, like, it's okay to move on from it and not let it hang you up anymore. Maybe you've been thinking about doing something towards healing this, and Spirit is saying, don't wait, don't hesitate, don't be complacent. It's okay to grow and change and outgrow and change and realize more and more of the truth on your way to the truth. Okay, just trust Spirit. Trust that Spirit is within you. Alright, Spirit, can we get any final information here? I just heard at the ready, like a race or something. One more off the top. Okay. Like you know, like you're getting ready for something. At the ready. like that, don't hesitate, don't wait, be ready. The healer. Yeah, so this might have been something, yeah, there we go. This might have been something that you're working on that you've been working on, that you know of, that you're healing. Healing yourself in tandem with spirit, which is truth. So you becoming your own healer through this process. The innovator, yeah, looking at things from a new perspective will open up doorways to do new things with your energy and your time and your focus, where you can innovate new parts of yourself, new ways of being, new ways that you want to show up in the world, more creativity, things that make you feel good, as opposed to things that make you feel depressed or anxious because it's outside of yourself, outside of your control. The seeker. Yes. Seek and you will find. You'll find the way. Choosing to operate from this frequency of being the seeker and the healer and the innovator. This isn't just like float through life type energy, right? People can choose to do that, and that's their life, and everyone has free will to choose. This is the energy of taking life by the horns, showing up in that Leo energy and being confident and knowing that I'm going to seek myself. I'm going to seek out the truth. I'm going to seek out what I know is best for me. And I'm going to start by doing that, by aligning myself with myself. Seeing things in a whole new way. Working towards dreams. I'm going to get one more card from the archetype deck. Yeah, these energies and archetypes and metaphors and allegory, all of this stuff is held within the subconscious mind. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you know about Carl Jung, and that he dedicated his life to that work about uncovering, making the unconscious conscious, the shadow work. That's, oh, I just bumped it. That's healing the devil. That devil energy, that shadow energy. Spirit, can we get one more card? The animal. Ooh. Yeah, the wild nature. The wild, like getting in touch with your wild self. Going into the wild. Continuing your journey of innovation, of growth and evolution in your way. The truth. The truth cannot be denied, because all of us know when we're doing something that we're not supposed to be doing for ourselves. Like, we all know when it's like, this isn't right for me. And we might lie to ourselves sometimes. I knew many times in my life I had that gut feeling, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be doing this. This is wrong. Okay, and that was that gut feeling, and sometimes I would lie to myself because it would be telling me things that I was trying to buck against, right? Things that I thought was like, oh no, that's not for me, that's not good, that's not how I want to live my life or what I want to do. And my gut was all the time like telling me like, no, like that's probably what's best for you. And it took a lot of this and a lot of like stepping off the path and going on all over these ways and all this stuff getting poison ivy, getting attacked by bugs, and all this stuff, when I could have just listened to my gut and spirit and done what was highest and best for myself. Animals know what's best for themselves. They have those instincts. They follow those instincts. They trust those instincts. And yes, we are human. We can think outside of those instincts. We're not totally animalistic. We're conscious beings in a different way than creation. But that truth and that knowing within is something that cannot be denied. And your animalistic wild side, your nature, the part of you that's connected to reality without all the conditioning. Explore that. Get in touch with that. See what comes up. You'll find the way. Thank you all for being here. I hope this message has resonated. If it has, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Thank you for all of your patience and your support, and being willing and open to hearing these messages that I'm bringing forth. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest. And thank you again so much for being here. Everybody's energy, time, and attention all contributes and collaborates to this beautiful infinite tapestry that we're all creating. And I know that we're all on our way in the wild, and I hope I've helped you on this leg of your journey. I'll see you next time. Bye.